right? So okay, significant. At least chalk that up in the back of your mind as you're moving through the target. That okay, maybe the Intel folks are correct for once, right? There was a ton of different Intel people involved in this. The girl from the Zero Dark 30 movie, she was always 100%, right? She wasn't a hot redhead, but she was always 100%. There was other Intel people we had there. Some of them be 50%, 70. She was always 100%. So yeah, you're thinking, okay, all these little pieces, these are all little signs that are adding up in the back of your head. Step over Khalid and head up to the 3rd floor.
How much interaction did you guys have with the woman?
The CIA chick?
Yeah.
Tons. She was there when she briefed us in. I sat next to her on the flight over. The movie does a great job portraying how like feisty smart she is. She's wicked smart.
Right on.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right, so you're moving up to the 3rd deck.
3rd floor, point man in front of me again.
Same guy?
Same guy whispered Khalid. Head pops out the door at the top. Point man takes a couple shots and the head disappears into the room. We don't, right? We kind of skipped over my 13 deployments, right? One of the biggest things that we had learned and evolved through was, right, the tactics we were taught, CQB, right? It's hostage rescue clearance when you're in a building, right? It's all about speed. Well, over time, we were using these old school hostage rescue tactics to assault buildings where there was no hostages in, right? So why do we need to throw a flash crash in the room and then immediately run in here and do our clear left, clear right, old school CQB stuff when there's no hostage in here? Wouldn't it be much safer to stay at the door of the room and like pie the whole door from the space where you're much safer and less chance of getting shot back? So we had started evolving our tactics, right? It was no longer hostage rescue clearance. It was combat clearance. And combat clearance meant we're slower, much more methodical. There was no reason to just run in the room and clear things. So
makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Right? Much safer. And trust me, the swamp in the community didn't want to evolve to those tactics, but over time it was saving lives nightly by not rushing into the room, right?
Who do you call the swamp of the teams? I'm just curious.
Any of the old school guys that are still there.
I mean, is the swamp at Dev Group as well?
There's a swamp everywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a swamp or just the
there's
the bureaucrats.
I mean, that's where all the team's tactics come from, is from development group. Well, at least when I was in, when you go to assault cell, all of that it just comes down from you guys, and so I mean, it's just fucking shame to hear that there are people over there that are delaying.
Not everybody, but any organization,
tactics.
there's the old school guys in the organization that don't want to change, right? And they want to do things the way they've always done it, and what they've always done is fine, and that's fine by them. No judgment. I'm somebody who likes to evolve and adapt, and when there's people dying because of a tactic, I really think we should evolve that tactic.
Yeah,
right.
I would share that sentiment.
Kind of makes common sense.
Yeah. Where did that change come? Where did combat clearance come from? Was that
guys like me and other operators that were operating, and we just continually go to our leadership, right? I did 8 years at the command, and you're just deploying. And so I wasn't a senior guy yet, kind of middle management. And so,
I mean, it's just so different than, it's completely different than everything that I've been trained. I've never done combat clearance. I was out before that, got to, the vanilla side. But
one of the missions we did with my Army counterparts, right? And a good SEAL friend of mine was right there when it happened, right? They blew the door. As soon as the breach goes, you run in, right? First 4 guys, 4-man entry, right? Breach, first 4. First 3 went in. They had a sandbag bunkered PKM at the end of the hallway. So everybody ran right into the PKM bullets, right? My buddy, I won't mention his name, but he was literally standing there at the door, and all 3 fell right in front of him.
Fuck, man.
Right? So you tell me how many times you need to be like, hey, guys, it's this tactic of like blowing the door and running in. if there's not a hostage in there that we need to save, why are we taking that risk to force?
Yeah.
Simple question. So we had evolved to that, right? So the Bin Laden mission, we knew there was no hostages, right? They're not holding somebody on the third floor. So there was no reason to rush, right? To do the old school tactics of run into the room. And so cleared to the door of the room, looked in, and he's basically twitching at the foot of his bed. There's 2 women in the room.
Bin Laden's just twitching at the foot of his bed.
Headshot from the guy coming up the stairs. There's 2 women standing there in the room, right?
So is he still alive, or is this
I
just
don't think
nerves?
so. It's pretty twitchy. I'd say he's done. Headshot. Cover the headshot, right? We didn't want to shoot him in the face. Nobody wanted to. We wanted the photo, right? The rules of engagement were capture or kill, right? None of this was go in and kill everybody. I've never been on a mission in the SEAL teams where they said go in and kill everybody. Never. Right? It's always capture or kill, and we had 30 different lawyers show up and brief us on this. Why was he engaged while we were coming up the stairs? Because the only thing he exposed was a head. Stuck his head out the door to look at the guy coming up the stairs and was engaged. Within the rules of engagement for that point man. Why? Because he could have produced a gun around the corner, right? Khalid down the stairs had a gun in hand. Guy in the first room I cleared had a gun in hand. So third floor had more time to set up a defense than anybody on the second and the first, and everybody else had got a gun on the first and second. So for the point man to think, okay, Bin Laden's armed, well within the rules of engagement. We'd been briefed. Part of the the intel packages was, hey, they have the house rigged to blow, or they're all wearing S-vests, and when you get in there, they'll martyr themselves and kill you guys too. So again, rules of engagement, point man coming up the stairs, only sees the head, well within the rules of engagement to take that shot. Now he's laying at the foot of his bed. 2 women in the room, right? Same point man, grabs the 2 chicks and pushes them back against the far wall. Right, had they had a vest on or something, he would have taken the brunt. Turns out they didn't. Push them back against the far wall, and that's basically target secure, right? We finished clearing the 3rd floor, and it's okay. Question the women and kids, right? Trying to get a name for the guy. The women gave us an alias.
Did you shoot Bin Laden?
On the ground, yes.
You did?
Yep.
How many times?
Couple.
Where at?
The body.
In the body? How did that feel? Don't fucking tell me like, just doing the job. Bullshit. You just fucking killed. You shot.
I didn't kill Bin Laden. I've never said I killed Bin Laden.
I'm correcting myself. You shot him as he was twitching at the fucking edge of his bed, and you didn't feel anything?
I don't know what that counts for, but...
Come on. You didn't feel anything. No sense of accomplishment, retribution. This guy fucking brought down the Twin Towers.
We had a long way to get home still, right? I think everybody was still very focused on, okay, right? We've got 1 helo down, right? Let's think big picture here, where we are in this situation. Yeah, we got Knucklehead down, but...
Did you know it was him?
Man, looking at him, it looked like him. Right, the women gave us an alias. The kids confirmed it. We went back to the women. The women then confirmed it. We all carried photos of him, right? And all the photos we carried, his beard was gray and had gray hair. I searched his bathroom on the shelf just above his sink just for men hair dye.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious?
Been dyeing his beard. That's why his beard's pitch black in all the photos.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, right. We got a helo down. We got a lot of stuff going on. We're very far from home, right? You got an 1.5 hour helo ride into a country that's got surface to air missiles, and they're way different than what's going on in Afghanistan. And so, okay, we got the clock's ticking, 30 minutes on target. So I started taking the photos. A buddy of mine was there. We literally, he had a Camelback. He took the hose of his Camelback and dripped water on his face. We took the sheets off his bed, washed all the blood off his face. I was the supply guy, so I bought everybody in the squadron digital cameras, right? Because we knew, right, if we had the body going out in our helicopter and then we got shot down on the way out, how do you have proof on your helicopter, right? So did multiple digital cameras taking photos, DNA samples, different helos, and then they're like, all right, you guys bag him up. So we had the body, drug him down the stairs by his feet.
Nice.
Right? I can shut my eyes and I can remember the sound of his hollow skull bouncing down the stairs as we drug him down. Drug him over his son's dead body down to the first floor and shoved him in a body bag.
Nice.
At that point, right, officers getting on the horn saying, hey, confirmed, we've got him. They're our EOD guys. We had one EOD guy on the mission. He starts running around. Somebody gets on the radio, says, hey, prep it to blow. So our EOD guy starts running around the house, setting thermobaric charges in all these rooms. Like, what are you doing? He's like, well, they said prep it to blow. I'm like, the house? I'm pretty sure they're talking about the helicopter. He's like, what helicopter? I'm like, dude, you need to go look in the courtyard. We had crashed so quickly, there was no radio call between Chalk 1 and Chalk 2 that we'd gone in. The whole target gets complete. And then some of the people in Chalk 2 found out that we had crashed in the assault. They did not know.
Are you
Everything was happening so quickly that hadn't been communicated. So our EOD guy grabs his thermobaric charges, right, runs out to the helo, starts rigging that to blow. We're moving all the women and kids around the compound to safety. We're doing the 30-minute or 30-second shopping spree at Walmart, whatever, running around, grabbing anything we could, thumb drives, computers, anything you can find. I remember our Master Chief getting on the horn and be like, exfil the building now. Like, no more, hey, 2 minutes, like, everybody out now. Wrapped everything up. I remember running out of the building. I'm carrying a whole bunch of stuff, and I look over, and it's the most uncomfortable, weird thing you've ever seen. These helicopter pilots that are never on the ground, and they've got these big, like, aviator helmets, these big, black, dark helmets. And there's, like, 2 pilots and 2 crew chief, and somebody had handed them suitcases of, like, intel. So they're a big helmet. They're looking around, no guns. They've got suitcases. I'm like, come on, guys, let's go. Pulled them out. We were down a helicopter, right? So leadership called one remaining. We had 2 backup CH-47s with backup SEALs and backup fuel. One of the CH-47s flew into the compound, right? Landed, picked up the other guys since we had the body. They sent my team out on the one remaining Blackhawk. So we helo lands. We go booking out through this field, carrying the body bag. Get to the helo, throw the body in, we jump in, and I may be a little sensitive because I've already been in one helicopter crash that night, and the whole cockpit is flashing red.
Oh, shit.
Whole thing's flashing red. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I don't think that's healthy, right? It's our gas gauges. So we'd given ourselves 30 minutes on target with 10 minutes to spare. When I lifted off, we were at 38 minutes. So we were running on fumes. Our helicopter still had to fly 8-10 minutes to our other refueling helicopter. We landed. We got gas, right? Everybody thinks it was the 24 SEALs that pulled this off. There's some Army refueler out there who joined the Army to refuel helicopters, right? Not be Delta Force or anything crazy, to refuel helicopters, probably for college GI Bill. And that night, that Army kid refueled us up, right? None of us would be back if it weren't for the Army kid who refueled us. We got gas for 20 minutes, right? Now we've blown up our helicopter, so now all the radars are coming up, right? Everybody's looking in Pakistan for what's going on. And you still have a hour and a half helo ride to the border.
Wow, man.
So sat on his body the whole way, cleared into Afghanistan, landed, turned over the body to McRaven and the crew, and then we all flew up to Bagram, turned over the body. We were all still in our uniform when President Obama came in and gave his whole spiel on the TV. Like, we're literally watching Obama, the body's laying right there.
Let's keep going with the debrief. There's a lot that's about to come out that's important in the debrief on items that were kept. I mean, this is all rolling into what you really want to talk about. So I'd just be as descriptive as you can.
Yeah. I mean, we did our debrief and that was it, right?